Yes, don't forget to subscribe to Doggy Diamonds No Filter. This is an actual podcast that appears on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have an Apple phone, maybe it might be offline, but you have an app on your Apple phone called Podcast. Just go in there, type in Doggy Diamonds No Filter, and the audio version of the show will come up. You don't have to do that either. You can just go to the description box. The link is right below in the description box. Also, for only $100, I'll promote whatever you need on my social medias and my website. That's my Twitter, Facebook, Insta Stories, YouTube community, and my website, like I said, www.doggydiamondstv.com. Hit me up at Doggy Diamonds on Instagram for your promo. Must be Cash App ready. And if you're not getting the alerts, that's on you at this time, because all you got to do is go to www.theinterviewking.com, sign up for the email list to get the new content. That's on you. So today I want to do something a little different. Normally I would start the show. Where you at, bro? Where are you at? Normally I would start the show with music and give you a little dialogue and wait for people to come in. But I'm going to do something a little different today due to the nature of what we're going to talk about. I don't want to be jolly or have music playing or think we partying or something like that. I want to get right into the information. So I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves to you. So here you're on the screen now. Introduce yourself to the people.
Good greetings to all Earthlings. My name is Tammy Lynn. Most people know me around the art community globally as Tamora Lee, which is my art name. But I'm based out of Buffalo in Brooklyn.
Okay. And wow, what brings us here today? I got the title.
Yeah, what brings us here,
I'm
it's
going to
just
tell you
every
the
time.
title. I'm going to tell you the title of the video.
Mhm.
The title of the video is Justice for Culture, Karimu Hall.
Correct,
The Culture Karimu Hall story.
correct.
That was my title. That's what I came up with because you have a story. Who is Culture Karimu Hall?
Culture Hall, most very loving, beautiful soul. Touched so many lives, well mature beyond her years. Scientist, she was into biotechnology, bioenergy. She was millennial on the wave of changing the way we, things dealing with oxygen technology. She was like a light years ahead of her years. Beautiful soul. Never was a bad kid. I'm not going to say every kid is not perfect, but I never had trouble out of her. Very studious, very business, very sharp for her age, and she moved to Florida. After her stepdad had passed. And sometimes kids want to expand their horizon. She got a great opportunity. I supported her on it, as I do all my kids and kids in the neighborhood. To, teach them to expand globally, think locally, act globally. And I was a little adamant about it being Florida, but I still supported her.
So I
She
don't
was
want to cut you.
down.
Before I cut you, you have to tell the people who is she in relation to you, because you said your kids, they
Oh,
might
I'm
have picked up,
sorry.
but we have to
Yeah,
tell her
sorry.
who is she is in relation to you.
I'm sorry about that. Culture Hall, Culture Karamu Tafari Hall is my daughter, my firstborn child.
Okay.
And she was murdered in Florida in September.
Mm-hmm.
She was shot in her vehicle by Dawel Sarita.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, you know, the case is still unsettled. Um, they pretty much, you know how sometimes the story is dead man don't tell no tales. And she was murdered in her vehicle. They pulled over due to a traffic incident, and he alleges that um he was in fear of his safety, and he shot into her car 9 times, one being into her head. So basically, for the last 2 years, I've been fighting the case and trying to bring light to not only, I want to say this before I even get into this, because I always like to lead with God first, because God is, we all should live like that. And I don't want to make this about, I'm not blaming gun owners. I'm not blaming a race. I'm not blaming, I'm blaming the 5 individuals, starting with the shooter who was involved in this case, who dropped the ball. Because sometimes we kind of let the political landscape twist things up. and get it, misconstrued, and then it turns into, a race debate or stripping gun owners of their rights. Because I'm a gun owner myself, and most gun owners are very responsible people. They get a bad rap by people who take advantage of that right and misuse it, and then from that they try to strip us of our constitutional rights and try to entangle us into what the political landscape they want to project on us. And that's not what I want to do. For culture, she was a loving soul, didn't bother anybody, working, went out her lunch like we all do. You go run some errands on your lunch break, and traffic incident happened. He alleges she yelled out the window at him. He was in fear for his life. He pulls over. That's one of the statements he gave to the authorities. He pulled over. He alleges she, attempted to speak to him in a threatening manner, and that's what, transpired him to, fire his firearm. It is also alleged that my daughter also had a firearm too, that she purchased in the state of Florida. She let off one round, which they don't know who shot first, where it came from. There's no eyewitnesses, just his story. So everything about this case is predicated on the shooter, the state attorney, the sheriff, the detective. Everything that they gave us was based on what the shooter said. So if I shot somebody in the heat of a moment and I needed to get out of jail free card, I'm going to tell that story because nobody saw it. So my questions, I did do the taping because how everything transpired, it was weird from the beginning. I got a stranger call. We are very close family. I'm always in Florida. Just came back. I had surgery. She was here in Buffalo, went back home like that same week. And I got a call from the detective, and he's like, oh, your daughter's been, there's been a shooting. Of course, that's your parents. I get choked up every time I think about it. It was your worst parents' nightmare. I'm like, what? She got shot? He's like, oh, this was a domestic situation. I'm like, domestic? And I guess my response to him, I said, I just left there. She just left Buffalo. What domestic situation? But then he was like, oh, I just wanted to inform you. So me and her dad got on the next thing smoking, went down there, went to the hospital, spoke to detectives days later. The story changed again. They said, well, they thought it was a drive-by. Then it turned from a drive-by to road rage. Then it went from road rage to my daughter threatening this guy out the window and him having to shoot to defend his life. And then what the worst part of it was, they hid the case. We were trying to get information. Private detective, lawyer, at the time, because it was an accident, I'm going to personal, injury lawyer. They didn't tell us anything. So I'm like, we were like in the gray. Like, what kind of lawyer do I need? So, person I hired down there, private investigator, everybody trying to get this information. They held on to it all the way up to the day that they were supposed to, meet with us. Got a call from the victim's advocate. And she stated, oh, we got a phone call, which was August. We're going to go over the case. And I'm thinking, like, okay, if we're going to go over the case, you're going to tell me this is what happened, right? We need you to come down here and meet with us. I didn't expect what you probably heard on the call. The sheer level of disrespect for a human life, the sheer level of disrespect for not only our justice system, but if you track back to all these incidents, mass shootings, it always boils down to people who are in a position of bureaucracy who drop the ball. And I want everybody to focus on this. The next time we hear our next mass shooting or anything, listen to the stories that people said. Somebody went to the school and said something. Somebody went to the counselor and said something. Somebody told the parents. It's always connected to a mishap by those who are in charge, administrators, whether it's teachers, whether it's the police, and people who are not doing their job. And instead of us attacking a group of people, whether it's white people, whether it's gun owners, whether it's all police officers, let's address the person, the elephant in the room, which is a lot of these people have political agendas. You don't want to spend money on certain cases that's going to ruffle feathers and make it bad for you and your constituents or your supporters or your lobbying groups. And, as a gun owner, a lot of gun owners don't feel that way. We don't feel that. I do not feel us giving up our constitutional right, Second Amendment, to make people feel safe is going to change anything. Because if you put away the gun, they're going to go to a knife. If it's violence in you, it's going to be in you. You know, a lot of this is under, and then the gentleman, you know, I don't want to say too much on the case and the details because I still got some legal things that I'm handling. But for the homicide unit lady that was on that tape, a victim advocate, down to the state attorney. The state attorney didn't even know any of the questions. So how are you making a decision about closing a case or self-defense? And everything I asked you, he could not answer. And I'm, you know, you probably, you know, scanned through it. And I told you to take the time and listen to it. You were here. I don't know. I'm not sure. I wasn't there. The shooter said, they blame, it went from blaming the Orange County to blaming the shooter to not being there to talking about Second Amendment right. It was just a total shit show.
So
And
let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. So was he ever charged? The shooter?
No,
He was never
they
charged.
he was let go on a self-defense because he said when my daughter yelled out the window driving. You're driving on the high, you're driving on the road. Michigan Avenue where it happened. Floridians understand this. There's cameras on every section. No cameras. They didn't produce any cameras. So every evidence that this guy said there was an incident on the road. Okay, if you was in fear for your life and it was an incident on the road, why would you pull over? Would you pull over for somebody yelling out the window crazy? You gonna call 911 while you driving, right? So then it went from that to the on the audio, and here's the killer. When they brought us into the station, we got to see the video and we listened to the audio. The shooter said, we pulled in to exchange information. And when I brought that up on the call, the state attorney didn't even know. He goes, oh, would you hear that? I said, on the tape. So if you listen to these tapes, everything that I'm repeating verbatim is on that tape. So what decision was made that, to me, I just think y'all held on to it to not, they were trying to prevent this to turn into a Trayvon Martin situation because there's a lot of gray with stand your ground and gun owners, you know, and then you're trying to avoid, you know, the protests and the outrage. So you kind of like muffled the case. Nobody could get the details. I had a whistleblower from the inside who gave me stuff. I was just shocked. I'm like, oh, they gave me the information. They told me how to go about it to actually take what you call loopholes to get information. Because basically the criminals, the penal system in Florida, a lot of criminals know how to maneuver it because it's so easy to do, because nobody's working together. Because when in the call, when you listen, the state attorney's like, oh, I have nothing to do with the sheriff's office and what they do. That department only sends this information. We don't talk to these. It was just so much disorganization, so much disrespect, lack of the Constitution, lack of due process, lack of my daughter's rights, disrespect not only to parents, but a victim advocate is on the phone doing this. A homicide unit. I never even met the homicide lady. She wasn't even on the case. She just appeared on the call. Never met you. Not even a detective who was over the case. He should have been on that call. Or somebody from his, like, so all these people, I'm like, why is she on the call?
So basically, did they were just saying to you, just bury your daughter and move on with your life?
No, basically they were being rude. It was like I felt attacked. It was because I was pigeonholing. Had the guy and the questions I was asking and where I was going, which was factual. He couldn't answer, so they kind of like weasel in between, trying to shift it to make it about gun law, trying to shift it to make it about race. And at the end of that tape, when you hear what she says, when she asks me verbatim, "Oh, do you think this is about race?" Then I said, "Yes, it's about race, classism, where you live, because there's a divide between the North and the South. Let's all be real. That line is there. Your biasness, your discriminatory, how you choose cases, all of those factors weigh in here." And when I brought up the race thing, that's when she kind of brushed everything aside, ended the call. I've never heard of why would a homicide unit be speaking for a state attorney? And then what authority do you have to end the call? What authority? Like, Nothing they said they didn't do, like they were said they were going to give us the information right after. Right after we hung up, they're going to have the nerve to tell me, I'm going to send you everything, like the
How come?
timeline.
I wanted to ask you though. How do you have the audio somewhere that the audience can hear it? Are they allowed to hear the audio?
Yeah, yeah. I sent
Okay,
it to you, the
you
final,
sent it
because
to
we
me.
had cleaned it up.
So
I
the
sent it to you.
the SoundCloud that you sent me.
Yep.
Oh, say okay. So continue. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pin it to the top of the chat so they can hear it for themselves
Yep.
too. After, or I put it as the first.
I
I
want
I put it as the
everybody to
first comment. Yeah, I put it as the
let everyone to
Yeah.
sit there and listen to this tape. It's gonna bother you to the point where I can't. I'm shocked that professionals, lawyers, state attorneys, victim advocates, you thought that you were going to tell me something over the phone because we're from up north, whatever your bias is about up north people, even the language they use about, oh, she yelled out the car. I'm like, oh, guess you think because we're from New York, we're upstate, here, that we yell out the car windows, for no reason. And it's easily believable. She had long dreads. So I can tell how you're associating the drive-by, with the negative connotation with your hair. And then as the case progressed, when people can't pin things on you, then they put the case to the side. You try to get the information, trying to go left, trying to go right. They gave us nothing, and all the information I got came from a whistleblower. I sent an email, letters to governor, mayor, sheriff, state attorney, the homicide division, pretty much everybody. Like, this is what's happening in your state. Why would I have information before the state attorney?
So let me ask you something. Throughout this whole process, I guess you had to unfortunately go identify your daughter's body, right? You had to do.
Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to say this because with death, and I want to be sensitive, and I think with those who are going through the same thing that I'm going through, the beginning stages of grief, the beginning stages of gun violence, you have to understand the measure of grief and what you need to do for yourself to stay healthy and whole. I, feel looking at my daughter's life, not too many parents can say you gave birth to your daughter and you laid them to rest. It's hurtful. That is, I was the last person to see her to her next life. I was the first person to see her born and the last person to see her transition to her next life. Now, as hurtful that is, I'd rather it be that way because it would have killed me to see her dead in the street, laying there. She was shot. They took her to the hospital, and we stayed with her, and till she, to her demise. And I did it, what I had to do, as far as for my family and for laying her to rest. But I honestly believe, she held on until I got there. And then when I got there, I could feel her like clenching my hand. I'm speaking, prayers in her ear, reassuring her, we're gonna see each other again. It's okay to, transition on. I'm be here for you. And I'm a firm believer we don't pass on. When you live a good life of legacy, you're immortal by
Yeah,
what you live.
the energy never dies.
You're transfer.
So
Until this.
So I want to say, my condolences for myself and many people in the chat are also giving their condolences to you. No mother should have to bury their child. Most mothers, fathers will say their children should bury them, but you should never have to bury your children. During this whole ordeal, has anybody ever came to you and said, I'm sorry for your loss? Has anybody comforted you from that end, or has it just all been like, well,
No,
it's just the system?
it's all honestly, it's all bullshit. And then when they realized even at the end after that conversation, the way they were speaking to me, I have a right. This is my child. You're not
Yeah.
gonna see her make no shit up because you don't want to deal with the case. You don't get to do that. You don't get to lie on somebody's name. You don't get to tarnish their image. You don't get to make up a story. The facts are the facts. None of the facts they stated he could back up. And it was all hearsay from the shooter. It's crazy.
No witnesses. No
no
witness.
witness. Now
No.
everybody they were witnesses, but the people who took a statement to call 911 didn't actually see it.
They just heard it.
Everybody who saw it said they saw him backing out, you know, and then it gets worse. They said my daughter had her gun in her hand. There was no clip in her gun. You blew her brains out. I don't know too many people who's still gonna have the grip on a gun after that.
Hold on. So didn't they state that she fired a round?
One round.
How could she?
And then
So how could she have fired a round with no clip in the gun?
The homicide lady, Mrs. Hicks, came on. It's like, oh, you can still have a round inside the gun. Then I submitted the gun report from the gun shop where she purchased it. Bullets. Where's the bullet? Let me see the bullet, because I'm gonna know if that's the bullet because I got the box. So a lot of things was redacted. A lot of things switched. My daughter's name was in the media. The guy got detained that same day. So why was her name in the media? Then they said no killers or suspect to be found, and you had the guy.
So let me ask you something. The shell casings. How many shell casings were found, if you know?
One.
But he shot 9 times with his only one shell case?
Oh, no. I'm talking about for my daughter.
Okay.
For my daughter. Yeah, 9.
Okay.
No, and then they said, the bizarre story was with the detective. To me, this was a lot of lazy footwork. The belief that we are Black, we are prone to violence. Okay, we get shot every day. In their eyes, I don't live like that. I don't know people who's getting shot down in the street for no reason. Like, don't get me wrong, gang violence and things occur, but there's a certain wave of people where that is not something that's not everywhere in our community. We got to stop selling that. So then when things happen to us, they like this happen all the time. Yeah. I should, as a Black mother, I should be okay with my child getting their brains blown out, because that's how we live.
Not that it matters, but could we tell the audience what was the race of the guy who allegedly did the shooting? The
race of the gentleman allegedly is white guy on the paper. But they got the Marcy law where they can hide a lot of things. And then another thing about it too, and the race of the guy to me don't even matter.
No, it does matter, because this is why it matters, because I love Black women. I don't fear Black women. And most of my audience are predominantly Black men. And we don't fear. We don't fear Black women. So there's no way that I would pull out a gun and shoot a Black woman 9 times.
Or shoot at her. Okay. You are right. Because it's easy to paint us, because he was saying, oh, dude, y'all had a little fender bender. Right. And I'm going to tell you what my gut and my spirit is telling me. You got a fender bender on the road. She was telling you, he said, oh, she was telling him to pull over. So then when they pulled over, he claims, my daughter goes, oh, I ain't here to talk. But I'm going to tell you why he said that. Allegedly, you had no insurance, right? You got to join in your car with no insurance. So you understand what I'm saying? So whatever the fear of the Black planet or a lady screaming at you out your window, you told them this story to cover your ass. Because that's easily sellable, because I have no insurance. She's not here. So now I could paint the picture however I want to paint it. And there's no eyewitnesses. And to me, like my lawyer had said on the phone, if you didn't get into any incident on the road, why would you be pulling over? If there's no incident on the road, why would you be pulling over?
So did he submit anything to insurance? Like is there any insurance company, Geico, Progressive, is anybody saying his car needs to be fixed or anything?
Well, there was no damage on her. There was no damage on her car. There was no damage allegedly on his. I'm going to say a lot of things are redacted from the actual case. They never spoke about like the whole who was the first on the scene, because the detective that was on the scene was not the first guy that was there. He was given the case. So then he claims like the guy, he pulls out after he shot her. There's a detention home that's right there. Where's the video from the detention home? That's state. So y'all can get that easily. You didn't get that. You understand? So on the 911 call, he states verbatim, we pulled in to exchange information.
So where did it go wrong?
With you not having, and he goes, your Mike, he goes, the lawyer goes, oh, but she said your daughter said she didn't come to talk. That makes sense. So if a guy's giving you a story like, you're like, I didn't come here to talk, just give me your paperwork.
Me being a licensed gun owner myself, I was told by the people who sold me the firearm that if I have to use my firearm, it can only be in fear of my life. Mm-hmm. And I have to state that I was in fear of my life. Not later, not tomorrow, not Wednesday. That has to be the reason why I drew my weapon and fired. So when he called 911, that should have been something he said immediately as well. So that's the dropping of the ball as well, because you can't say, oh, we pulled in and exchanged information. So, okay, if you pulled in to exchange information. Huh? Go ahead.
He said, I'm sorry to cut you off. He said on the road of Michigan, when they were driving, that's when he was like, she out of nowhere, he stole the story like she picked his car. She started picking on him, like yelling out the window. I'm like, why would she just yell out the window? She's on her lunch break. She went to the stores near her house. And she had groceries still in the car. So she went in her groceries. So whatever incident happened, she got exchanged words. You probably told her, pull over, exchange her information. And that's from there, nobody knows because it's a secret.
But the point that I'm making, the point that I'm making is that by law, you have to say, this is why I took somebody's life, because I was in fear of mine. So if you call 911, that's the self-defense. You call 911, you say, listen, I just got into an incident. I pulled over. We got into an accident. We pulled over to exchange information, and I was in fear of my life, so I had to shoot and put somebody down. That's what you're supposed to say. If you didn't say that, if that's not the initial things that you said, you just full of shit. You full of shit.
And then also too, people don't understand with that law, with self-defense law, it's within reason. How is someone threatening you when you have an escape? You didn't have to pull in there.
Yeah. Because people don't know that self-defense a lot of times is not a legal defense. It's more of justification.
Yeah.
Because you don't so again, I'm not going to go somewhere where I might have to shoot. You could have got away. Especially us being New Yorkers, you don't stand a chance. Like there's no such thing as self-defense. It's justifiable homicide. And from what I'm hearing, I don't hear any justification because, even if I'm not going to exchange information with somebody that I might be fearful of, because if you was belligerent from the start, remember, he's painting a picture of her being belligerent. So you automatically supposed to be fearful. I'm not going to pull over for a belligerent person. We're going to keep riding. You could chase me. You could do whatever. I'm going to call 911 while I'm on the phone and say, look, I just got hit, or I just hit this crazy person and they're driving, chasing me down. Can you meet me at such and such? But I'm not pulling over for them. I'm not pulling over for them because I'm scared.
This? You call 911 en route. Yo, this crazy lady's driving me. I'm going to get behind you, find your license plate. License plate says I'm about to pull into this supermarket. Whatever. I'm not gonna it was total bad. And then for them to lie on my daughter, you had no clip in the gun. You couldn't tell me if the gun was in her left hand or right hand, because that would determine if she's left-handed or right-handed. Everything, a question I asked this state attorney, I'm not sure. So at the end, I'm like, dude, how are you sure if you're not even reading the facts?
Yeah, I just want to state one thing that could be, if you do have a clip in the gun. You rack the gun, one does go in the chamber. Even if you remove the clip, it's still one in the chamber. Maybe that's a scenario, but we don't want to make up nothing. But it is possible to have one bullet in the gun without the clip. So we have to make that plain.
I'm not down on that whatsoever. But all the facts that they said that they determined self-defense was all hearsay from the shooter. From the shooter, this is all his word. They're going all his word. So my disdain to everything. Who's sticking up for culture? Let's say I was the person on the attack, right? She's still entitled to defend herself. But if you're hiding the facts and you're dodging everything, and we can't get information to know, and you've changed your story 4 times, I can't trust you on how you're doing your job. I can't trust the state of Florida for me to see that they're going to see this through when I'm getting information from the victim compensation told me what's going to happen in May. I knew everything in May, but because the way they were doing everything, I was, moving in a careful manner, like, and that's what sparked me to take them, because the phone calls and the crazy stuff that was happening wasn't in line with a proper due process.
They also was angry that you taped them, right? They said that you.
Yeah. They got mad because I taped them because everything was just sounding fugazi to me. So I wanted to tape them. So then when I let them hear the tape, like, this is how y'all sound on here. And then someone sent me an email, and sort of like a threatening email, like, oh, you can't use this in court or you violated. No, that's not true. You're in New York. You can't tape someone. Now, if I did it in Florida
or Los Angeles, or Los Angeles,
different story. What you're embarrassed about, because you got on the phone, you didn't even meet with me. I thought I was like, it's going to be a Zoom situation. When she said it wasn't, you as a logical person, like, going to think, oh, we just going to have a basic phone call discussing when we're going to meet in Florida, right? And then we're going to go over the case. They didn't do that. They did everything on a phone call. Everything on the phone call.
So your daughter basically was treated like the perpetrator in the situation.
The perpetrator. And then when I kept catching them in the same bullshit stories or bullshit PR campaign, not knowing information, then they twisted it on me, trying to attack me. And that's why she kept trying to divert the conversation. She went from talking about gun rights to talking about the sheriff department, to talking about who shares information, to talking about race, to talking about, and when you hear the statement she makes, and that's what really bothered them, because she said some very damaging things about her own state at the end, is going to drive you mad when you hear it. Like, who would say this out loud? It's going to just blow your mind when you sit there, everybody, when you sit there and listen to it, you're going to have to rewind it a couple of times, because you're not going to believe how stupid they sound. They sound stupid, straight stupid.
Could we is it should we call out some names? Should we give out some numbers where people
give out some
let's do that. Let's call out some names, and let's give out some numbers for people to.
And I'm gonna say this before we even go there. We have a tendency. We just watched 5 black officers murder somebody. Hate, rage, classism, racism does not have a gender. Don't have a race. Some of us is worse than the end. I just couldn't, like, and the women that was on that phone, anybody who have a child, you claim to be in a mental health professional, a victim advocate, is talking crazy like this. A state attorney, homicide unit, you're talking crazy like this. A assistant state attorney knows no information, no nothing. You can't even answer basic questions of a decision you claim that you made.
I think more people are loyal to their oath than they're loyal to their people.
But I'm gonna tell you why you're not. The oath, and I'm a big lover of the Constitution. My grandfather always this is old, like for real. Like they don't, to me, I was raised, you respect people, you respect their profession, you understand what they're about. But when they lie on the job, you don't put God first, and you're doing dirty deeds, you're not doing your oath. Read the oath. Like I told to Thomas Zoriak, whatever his name is, state attorney, assistant state attorney, what they don't like is when you know what you're talking about, you're well read, you ain't backing down. I don't need 1,000 protesters behind me to understand what's happening. So when you're not going that route, you're not doing your oath. You took an oath to this.
Well, Tammy, let's be honest.
Not to politics.
No, but let's be honest. When they wrote that, where were we at?
We understand that, but we got to evolve.
No. They got to evolve. We evolve.
I understand when I say we. Yeah. When I say we, understand.
We as a people.
We mean an American mindset, because me and you could be evolved right now all day. we're gonna be 10 idiots when we leave the house. That's
Yeah.
what we up against.
Yeah.
So now we gotta raise our children and raise our small community and stick together and uplift each other and be the support. You can't tell me you're a lawyer and you're not doing due process. You're talking crazy like that. You're not reading the facts. And respect goes out the window for me. I respect you. You say to me, you say to me, Tammy, I'm a lawyer. I'm a DA. I'm gonna give you your respect. But the minute I see you doing some jumping rope, like, I thought you said you was a DA. I ain't got no respect for you.
Yeah. Because you're a clown now. You're a clown now.
Now you clown. Now you clown.
See, I get what you're saying. You're saying that the oath and that Constitution, as Americans, which we are, whether we like it or not, is supposed to apply to us. But the issue that I think is that the system has been so corrupted because we can't really think that we're going to have justice on, for one, stolen land, right? Mm-hmm. Two, it's so much things that wasn't even resolved from what they did to us. So it's just like now y'all equal. But so we equal, why do y'all keep having to write bills and amendments for our equality? You wouldn't have to write anything. It would just be law of the land. So now when we're dealing with the law of the land, every land has a different law. That's the funniest thing. So, like you said, Florida will have stand your ground. New York doesn't have stand your ground. So what type of country do we live in if each piece of the country has a different ideology of how they want to run it? So is it one country?
And look at the landscape now. You got, governor of Florida, you don't want to teach Black studies. Why don't you teach the Constitution then? Why don't you teach your police officers, teach the lawyers, teach the judicial system that you say you stand on right here? Teach them this. Start with that. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do the Black history. Teach the Constitution and go by what you say. Because every time they come into our neighborhoods, you come around when it's voting time, from the mayor to the sheriff to all these attorneys,
the judges,
and the judges, you do the song and dance. And when I ain't gonna bring up what Biden said, you're not Black if you're not a lawyer if you're not standing on the Constitution.
Yeah, that's true.
Why are we listening to people who can't even know left from right when it comes to Constitution? And if you look at the Constitution, it ain't really that hard to read. It's not really that hard, people.
So let me ask you something. Let's highlight the age of your daughter when she met her demise. How old was she?
She was 26.
Damn, 26.
26.
And not to be in your business, but I think this is important. How much is funeral costs? Because I think people.
I'm gonna tell you this, right? You know, we gonna. And I wanna do this for not only for Black people, but just the human race. We gotta understand death is imminent. It's something that's gonna happen to all of us. Your life is your legacy. Your life is your legacy. So what you stand by, how you live, how you eat, how you think, who you socialize with, all that intertwines to make you the human being. So now if you connect with junk, you're gonna get a junk human, yes? So with all that being said, we gotta be conscious of how we're living our life day to day. Seems like God just all of a sudden just disappeared. I come from a very diverse background of family, from Hebrew to Muslim to so it was never an argument because you putting God first. So whatever it is, your spiritual level, whether you meditate, whatever it is, you got to do that with conviction and live it. Because sometimes we think when we work a job, and I come from three of the worst, I ain't gonna say worse, three of the most corrupt industries: banking, music, and fashion. You can't get no worse than that. But I always kept myself what they call untouched, where if it ain't, I don't care how much money on the table, I'm not stealing nobody. I'm not doing that.
You know what I call it? Uncompromised.
So I've never, I tell people I do things the right way. Anybody who ever did business with me, who know me as a human being, I put human life first. Even if I don't like you, I'm like, you know what? I ain't really good. So I'm gonna stay away from you. I don't want to bring no strife to you because I know how you move and it's gonna be a problem for me. So why would I entertain that type of energy? Not that you're better, but sometimes you got to learn how to remove yourself. And back to funeral costs, investing in insurance. teaching your kids finance. My daughter was very smart. From a young age, I instilled in her self-sufficiency, me and her dad. Self-sufficiency, assurance, responsibility. Even when she went to Florida, I kept coming like twice a month, every other week when she first got down there, because of the deprogramming. Look, this is not New York. Listen to the rules of these people. I ain't saying you got to be on those, being nobody's doormat, but there's a different movement.
The
You got to
law of the
understand.
land. The law,
Yeah.
this
So
law,
I
this
was
land is different.
raised when you go into certain areas, you got to move, pay attention to your surroundings and understand how people move, and that's why I guided her through that, getting adjusted to the culture, understanding, what it is. And there are some very good, hardworking citizens of Florida, and I ain't trying to dog the whole state. It's just sometimes we got to be honest that it's not the people at the bottom, it's up here.
Yeah.
We're tired of you guys. It's like you're begging for us to vote for you. You don't do shit. It's like when are we gonna get tired? It's like a mental illness. Like insanity is doing the same thing over and over,
expecting different
different
results.
results. Then they'll come from the left. Okay, we're gonna put it in the blackface. It's the same dude. It's the same person. And we got my grandfather, God rest his soul. He instilled in me that just because a person got your skin, don't make him your kin. Judge a
All
man.
skin folk ain't your kinfolk.
Yeah, you judge a man by how his belief in God, how he raises his family, and what he do for his community. Those three: God, family, community. You ain't got that, we ain't having a conversation. Your lifestyle is how you choose, but I instilled in my daughter to be a responsible adult in the state of Florida, state attorney. You do not have a right to lie on somebody's name because you don't have the resources, or you're afraid of the political landscape. You're afraid of the pushbacks from your constituents and lobbying groups. You're just not really about the Constitution. But you don't get to make me feel as a parent that I'm wrong for sticking up for my daughter and telling you that you're a piece of shit.
So where we are today is they closed the case. That's it. You have to.
They closed the case, but you can reopen the case at the time. And I'll say this: at the time when everything had transpired, I had surgery on my spine. So just imagine, and her younger sister just fell apart. It was mental health and wellness. People who know my family, we've always lived like a holistic family. So it's very tough. It was like, I felt like you have all this rage in you and you can't move. You can't do nothing, because I had a choice. Either I'm going to ruin my health and watch my other daughter,
deteriorate.
get worse. I had to make a choice. Fight for one for right now, or you build up and you be the healer for the one that needed most. I had to make a decision. And as a parent, it's like, it makes me angry because I feel like, if I would have had that, that extra year. Now I'm like on crunch time, but you got the 2 year or whatever. I'm going to still do what I have to do. But looking at my little one to see that I took a step back to make sure that we was good, like health-wise. You can't fight nothing when you're broken up and unhealthy. It only kills you. So I made a conscious decision, like, look, I got to be still and get back into my dean and working on myself and meditation, because with mental health and where I came from, I felt that person coming back again.
Yeah.
And and I didn't want to have the hate. I didn't want to have that, So I had to make a conscious decision. I had her funeral. We had one ceremony in Florida. Came back to upstate. We had one here. I'm doing her 3rd year ceremonial thing this coming fall. We're gonna have a day of remembrance for people who lost a child, or lost a loved one, anybody in your life who meant the world to you, that transitioned on, that you miss and you want to support. The day of remembrance is going to be September 11th in Buffalo, New York. I'm doing like a huge ceremony for her here. We were a nature family. She loved trees, earth, and and when her stepdad passed away, we had a very serious conversation. And that's the one thing as our community, we got to be honest about mental wellness and death and prepare. We're not doing too good. Like you got to prepare. As bad as
it's
sounds,
imminent. It's imminent. There's nothing you could do about it. And it's sudden, and you don't get a date. It's sudden. All right, so let me get two things from you before we go. Let's run off some names of the people who
Yeah.
dropped the ball. Let's do that. And then yeah, let's run off some names. And maybe you gave me information, maybe I could put out information so their phones can be bombarded by the audience. We could call and harass the hell out of them. So let me get some names. We'll call them out and then we'll call them literally.
Call them. So
Yeah.
state attorney, this is the Ninth Judicial Circuit, sorry, Thomas Wazurek. The number, he works out of the office of Monique H. Worrell, state attorney, Ninth Judicial. And their number is 407-836-2188. Again, that's 407-836-2188. The victim advocate, the Shireen Christie, that's 407-836-2431. Mrs. Hicks, the one you guys will hear on the tape, it's that's the homicide unit, and that is 407-836-2405. She also works out of Monique H. Harrell. We want to call Monique H. Harrell office, and especially as being a Black woman, that you would sit here and watch this happen. I've been calling asking for a meeting. Like, why nobody want to meet with me? What's the problem? Like, if you can say it over the phone, you can say it to my face.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a meeting. Nobody answered. One person answered. That was attorney Ashley Moody, attorney. She's the general attorney. She's the office, Florida State Attorney's office. She was the only one that pretty much replied. Then I got the rude message from the homicide chief. This is 407-836-2405. Basically, by me taping them, it was like a mild threat. Like, you can, that's against. But let's talk about the penal codes that you guys broke. Hiding information, telling me the guy's name, not doing due process, discrimination, biasness, not following the Constitution. So if you're going to come get me for the taping, please do, as long as you collect everybody else who also violated the Constitution and due process.
So could I ask you something? Did they tell you where he was at, how far he was from your daughter when he fired the shots? What type
He
of
was in
caliber?
his car. He shot through the window.
No. Time out. Time out. No. For real. Because no. You lying. I see.
They never got out the car. The people who witnessed, everybody who witnessed, they said they saw a red car backing away, busting off shots.
So.
And my daughter's car is like a lifted. She had the Jeep Wrangler. The kids like the Jeep Wranglers. It's high up. This is his. So how are you seeing up there?
Tammy.
And he shot through the window. The window was busted.
So she never rolled her window down. He shot through his window.
Her window was busted. It was glass inside the thing. Bullets on the right side of the car. She was shot in her leg. She had took hits to the leg and then hit to the head. Never got out of his car, but he was in fear for his life. Now make it make sense. No clipping the gun. Didn't even call the gunshot to verify what. And then I was asking about the gun because when we go target practicing, my print should be on there. So if y'all took the prints, mine should be on there too.
So this is at the 49 minute mark. I have to mark this on this interview because they have to know that. I thought they had an actual clash.
No, doggy, he never got out his car, ever.
That that changes the whole dynamics of everything.
Then he pulls in to like block her. He goes, "Oh, I pulled in like that so she wouldn't block me in." It's a parking lot. Why would you pull in crazy? You didn't have the insurance, dude, and you pulled out. And I don't know, she could have been protecting herself, but she seen you doing it.
So did he shoot over his shoulder? Did he shoot like this? Where did he shoot? Did he shoot from the passenger side?
He was on her passenger side. Like he pulled in like this. Boom. So you backing out, busting. So
they didn't even meet.
No. No contact whatsoever. Never got out of his car. That's why I'm telling you it's crazy. How is it
That shit sound
self-defense?
like a hit though. But it sound like a hit.
How is it self-defense when you could just pull out?
All right, so let me ask you something. I know you hired a PI, right? A private investigator. What information that you can tell them? What were they able to obtain about him? What type of person is he? Where something don't sound right.
Homeless,
He's
like
homeless.
yeah, like I ain't gonna even, we're not doing too well. Um,
Well, no, let's not say anything else because
yeah,
anything we can't prove, we don't want to say that. But we
yeah, I
can
don't
say
want to,
homeless.
yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
can say
I don't want
homeless
to hear
because
say,
everybody been
yeah,
homeless. But we don't want to mess up anything. So now I'm all the way confused because how do you get into something with somebody and then for you to shoot out your passenger side, right? Out of his passenger side, or he shot.
yeah. No, he in the driver. He's still in the driver's seat.
All right, no, but he's in the driver's seat, so
Yeah,
he shot. See, because I'm trying to think. She's facing this way, and or they're facing the
yeah.
same
You
way.
know how you pull in? This is her car. Like but this is her over here.
So
So
he
he
shot
over.
over his shoulder. That's what I said. He shot,
Yeah,
and but he has to shoot through her passenger side and hit her.
yeah, yeah. So he
Not,
took the
and he
window
shot 9 times.
9 times.
What was the caliber of weapon
But
that
I'm gonna
he did?
tell you what's worse. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you what's worse. He said, "Oh, he opened his lockbox. So how are you in fear for your life that you be opening up your lockbox?" He goes, "When I pulled up, I opened my lockbox."
What? So, I see. I'm confused. Did you have an attorney?
Yes.
What was your attorney? What was your attorney's advice? What was your attorney's what like?
No, remember when this first started off, it was approached as a personal injury, road incident. This is what they was telling us the whole, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
all the information started around. My attorney was trying to get the information, all the information that she was getting was trickling down. They wouldn't give her the name of the shooter because it was like martial law. Um, she handed over my daughter's information for the gun. She was on top of the insurance companies. Like all the bureaucracy, paperwork. Uh, but as far as what she was like, she's on the call too. You hear her on the call too, asking questions. And then the way they were approaching us, like, "Oh, you from New York?" To the attorney, she was like, "No, I'm in Florida." So there was a lot of biasness. Like, what makes you think I was in New York? What makes you think I don't live in Florida? You know.
So not that it matters, but I'm pretty sure you spent a hefty amount of money for justice.
And
That
I'm going to spend a hefty more.
that you
It ain't.
so okay. Then now the last question I wanted to ask you in closing: how can we help you? How can the
How
people
can
help you?
the people can help me by getting on the phones, sharing, listening to that audio, sharing it, contacting the mayor of Orange County, the homicide unit of Orange County, the detective Joshua Miller, and then Monique H. Harrell, because these are the same people that are going to be parading around when it comes to voting season, trying to use the black card saying vote for me because I have your best interest.
Could I ask you something? Do you gave me an email, but do you have like a one sheet? Do you have like a leaflet? Do you have something that can be shared with all this information?
Yes, I do. I'm doing actually a press release. So I'll send you that too. Or like a
Yeah,
one sheeter.
yeah, because that'll be the easiest thing for people to
Yeah.
actually have some type of
I didn't
literature.
want to. I didn't want to actually send any like files or anything because it's still.
No, I don't want you to send any
Yeah,
files. I just need you to send
yeah.
where the information. Say the mayor's number again so they could put that in the chat.
Okay. The mayor number is Mayor Jerry Demings. It is 487-836-7370. And again, that's Thomas Razoriak's number is 407-836-2405.
And when they call, what should they say to these people? To these people, we want
So
justice.
when they listen to the tape, I want everybody to listen to the tape before they call. And you want to call and just express your disdainment, not only for the treatment of innocent victims by race, class, gender, whatever, the non-due process and discriminatory factors. If you're coming from out of state, you're from New York, how they treat us in all these other states. 2, not doing your job. You don't stand for the Constitution. You stand for nothing. And the disrespect that you will hear and the attack that they were, the energy they were giving to me, a mom who just, my kid brains was blown out by a stranger, and I'm not supposed to be angry that you guys are not doing your due diligence, and you're going to reduce a child to a phone call. If my last name was Obama, Kennedy, Biden, all, a celebrity, would you have done this? You wouldn't have. You would have met with them and you would have went about it a different way. But you thought it was okay for you to disrespect a family at their worst time in their life, to do it in that manner. And I want to tell the people to ask them who made the decision to do that call in the manner that you did it.
All right.
It's not
so
what we stand for as Americans.
What I'm doing right now is I'm actually going to the SoundCloud because I want to get the actual SoundCloud link right now, and I want to put it in the chat so they could have it in the chat for the people that want to hear it, as well as I'll make sure that it's pinned. You can hear that?
Yeah.
But we're
now,
not
just because the way we had to do that, because I told you I just came from out of town, it was like nothing was working in my house. It was like a weird day, but I got it cleaned up. So it is, they can listen in here. It's about 45 minutes long. Just listen, especially for Mrs. Hicks. That's the person you guys want to really, Mrs. Hicks. She was terrible on that call. Terrible. She shouldn't even been on the call. I didn't even meet you. Why are you on the call with parents and you wasn't even on the homicide case?
Okay, so I put the link to the SoundCloud in the chat. Also, I'm going to make sure that it's the first pinned message on there because this is private, right? This video is, this actual audio is private.
Yeah.
Okay, so so I don't get a shared link, so I have to share that long form link. Hopefully, via that long form URL that I shared, people could hear it.
Did I give you the short one?
It don't matter because it still goes back to it. So if there's anything else you wanna close out, anybody you want to reach out to, any political people, anybody you want to reach out to, let's do it here.
You know who I'm reaching out? I am reaching out, and I'm going to say this as a prayer and as me closing this out to all American people, no matter where you are in the United States of America. We cannot continue to sit complacent, voting these people in while they bullshit our rights away. This is not about just race. It has class, gun owners. We got to stop allowing them to attack individuals and groups when they're not doing their job. If you say you stand for the Constitution, you say you stand for the people, you guys all run on these vote campaigns and use all these eloquent words, do your fucking job. That's all the American people want you to do, and stand on what you say. If you ain't standing on what you're saying, leave office. Stop playing with the American people. We're tired of it. And my prayers and condolences go out to all families, all walks of life who lost a loved one, who are just beginning their stages of grief. I send love and I send condolences. And then also, too, for Culture's Facebook, I'm going to post everything on Culture's Facebook. So you can join her Facebook on Culture Hall. This week, I'll be posting all the numbers, the names, and information, as well as the video. It's Culture Hall on Facebook.
Culture Hall, is that a personal page, or this is a fan page or something like that?
That is a personal page for her.
Because I know with personal pages, you're only allowed to have 5,000 people, but you can still follow.
Well, people can share.
Okay. So,
you know what, Doggie Diamonds, I'm being honest. I'm moving the way that my daughter lived, because there's a lot of things I would have went different about it, but I still got to respect how she would want her legacy and how she would want me to go about things. And she wasn't really a big social media person. And her friend, a lot of the people that really got her back are on her Facebook more and her Instagram, but I'm going to stick to the Facebook. And again, I appreciate you for taking the time. I appreciate for everybody who listened. And who's taking the time out to make a call. And we got to support each other. We got to do. We all we got as Americans. We all we got. Like, when are we gonna be tired?
Yeah, I want to try to find the Facebook right now. It's under Culture Hall.
Yeah.
I don't see it just yet, so let me see if I can find it via people. Is it Buffalo? Yeah, it's the top one.
Yeah.
Research assistant, Buffalo State University, IT systems engineer.
He's like sitting, like meditating.
Yes. Okay. So we'll put this in the chat as well.
Beautiful soul, didn't bother anybody, earth loving, very smart reader. give it to the community, teaching young kids, travel. Very smart young lady. She did not deserve that. She did not. And I'm going to see that, justice is going to be served, whether it's,
All right. So
I'm
what
going to do what I need to do.
all right. So I just put the Facebook also in the chat. So they could get that. So that's what I say you should do. Put those names on her Facebook wall. We'll promote the
Yep.
Facebook so people could at least see that, and then maybe you can make when you get more literature that you create, like at least a one sheet, you could just text it to me or email it to me, and I could
Yeah, well, we're working on that. I'll have that this week. Again, like I was saying, there's a lot of things going on with my younger daughter. I got to handle this with like kitty gloves and,
yeah.
you
So
know,
it's
made it through the storm. And I want to want her to be, continue on her wellness. And to everybody who's doing their mental health journey, betterhelp.com, blackmenheal.com, NAMI, NAMI. Your health is the most important thing you got. And anybody who know me, I always preach health is wealth. Without that, you ain't got nothing. So you got to take care of yourself.
all right. Yeah, I preach the same thing and I promote the same thing. So Tammy, I thank you for joining me. My condolences to you, the family. Be well. We definitely going to do our part on this end and push and push and push via Facebook, via Instagram, via all the platforms that we have to make sure something going to change. Something got to give, and we going to give this story legs, and we're not going to stop. So, like I said, the name of this is Justice for Culture Hold, and we will see justice is done, and if not an arrest being made, then at least the state, the city,
Reopening the
yeah,
case. I'm trying
reopening the
to
case,
push
but in
reopening the case.
holding those accountable and responsible for dropping the ball. So
Correct.
with
They should
that,
be fired. You
yeah,
should be
yeah,
fired.
yeah.
Period. Fired.
So I thank you for joining me. I'll text you
And
after.
I appreciate your time, guys. And God bless everybody. You guys be safe.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, y'all. So I mean, I gotta bring different information to the channel. I gotta bring different people to the channel. We on the different times as a people. Sometimes it can't always be about rap, hip hop, beef, gossip. Who said this? Who did this? Who that? Is real stuff going on in the world, real stuff going on in our communities, and we have to at least be able to highlight it. We have to use our platforms to highlight it. Strangely, sadly, that these type of videos are not the videos that get the 100,000 views. These are not the videos that get the 50,000 views. These are not the videos that get sensationalized. These are not the videos where everybody's gonna share. But if this was one of your loved ones, if this was your loved one, if it was you, you would want somebody to do it for you. So all we could do is just do what we can. You got idiots who want to come on my channel and say, oh, your views is down, your views is low. Of course your views is going to be down and your views is going to be low when you're not promoting the devil every day. When you're not sitting before the people drinking and smoking and acting like a complete asshole, truthfully. So you're rewarded for doing devilishment. And even you could speak like you're speaking like God or speaking like you're speaking for God, but you got your fingers crossed behind your back or you inebriated. Enough of that. You know what I'm saying? Enough of that. Y'all have to take it. Y'all have to be in more control because it doesn't matter what people do. It's what you ingest. And if you ingesting the bullshit, then you just as bad as the person that's giving you the bullshit because you don't have to ingest it. So again, I could take my just like I helped the other homie who flipped on me. I could take my platform at any given time and share it with people who need to get their story out there. This is what these platforms are for. This is why we was awarded, and this is what we say we want to be for the community. We say we want to help people, but I always ask people, who are you helping? You only helping yourself and helping your pocket and always got something to say about everybody else. I'm out.